Crafters, and welcome to Creative Moments by G. I'm G, and we are so happy that you're with us today. And I say we because Maudie, my sister, and I are on this crafting journey, and we have so much fun. And we have been in our design studio crafting and creating a pop-up card with some fantastic stamp sets and some beautiful DSP. So let's head down to the crafting table, and let me show you how to make this. Now, look at this pop-up card. It sits right on your desk, but look, there's a card on the back. Look how cute that is. And look how beautiful this is. Oh my goodness. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but let's go ahead and start making this pop-up card. Now, it is so incredibly easy to make. We are going to be using Rustic Crate today because we're going to use their sentiment. We are also using an embossing folder called Twigs and Sprigs. Love that embossing folder. And then we're going to use some beautiful DSP. Look at this gorgeous paper. Oh. So the first thing you need to do is take a piece of 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock, and let's go ahead and cut our base card. Now, on this pop-up card, the base card is simply a flat base. So you need to cut a 5.5 by 4 1/4. And this becomes the back of your card. Now we need to have our mechanism that goes on the front. Now that piece of paper needs to be cut 9.5 by 4 1/4. We are going to use this beautiful cardstock called Pecan Pie. And we need to go ahead and extend our arm if you're using a Stampin' Up trimmer. And we're gonna cut this 9.5. Make sure that it's all the way up to here as your guide. So 9.5 by 4 1/4. We do have some score lines that we need to make. So let's go ahead and make sure that our cutting blade is pushed up to the very top. And now let's go ahead and score at 1/2 inch. 1 1/4, 2, 2 3/4, 6 3/4, 7.5, 8 1/4, and 9. Now I want to remind you, we will post all these measurements over on our blog, and you get there by going to our website, creativemomentsbyg.com, and just clicking on my blog. So let's go ahead and put up the trimmer for now. Now, right here on this middle part, we need to cut some DSP, and then we need to have some strips for over here. But so we can see this better, let's go ahead, take our bone folder, and start creasing, making a crease right where we've scored everything, just so that we can see the areas that we're working with a little bit better. Now, this is such a fast card to make, so don't blink. You can make this very easily. Just put some DSP on it and add some flowers maybe, or you can be more elaborate, but that's completely up to you. So here we have our areas already folded, scored, creased. I'm going to use that beautiful gingham colored paper, and that needs to be 4 by 3 3/4. So let's just cut 4, by 3 3/4. And I want to remind you, if you have directional paper and it matters which direction it goes on the front of your card, you want to make sure and cut the width, which is 3 3/4, to fit on the front of your card. And it goes just like this. So 3 3/4 is the width. And if you have something directional like this, you'll want to pay attention to that. Now we also need some strips, and you're going to need 4 of those strips, and they need to be 1/2 by 4. So let's go ahead and just cut us a strip of 4 inches, and now let's cut 1/2 inch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let's get our glue and let's go ahead and mat this front piece right here. Now you might want to really carefully look at where you have your score lines so that you can get it even all the way around, just like that. Now when you put this together, it's going to go together like this. So you really only need strips of paper on this first and the third, because if you're looking at it, you have 1 column, 2, 3, 4. So you only need it on the first and the third column if you're looking at the face of your card. So let's go ahead and just lay that down. Now I like to go ahead, just as a quick little tip, and put my glue right here. I know how big the strip is, and so it can very quickly be laid down. First and third. And again on the other side. Now, make sure that you stay with us because I want to discuss the card that I showed at the first just a little bit more because I have some tips for you, and then I want to show you a completely different card. So first and third, once again. The next thing we need to do is go ahead and cut out the center part of this because we're going to put an acetate window there so that you can see some beautiful artwork that we're going to put right here on this page. So let's go ahead and just get this lined up. And get this center part cut out. And we're just going to lift this off. And we have that center part. Now, you need to go ahead and take a piece of acetate and you need to make sure that it's nice and clean and then just put this right on the back side of the front of your card, your mechanism. So I'm going to just use a tape runner and I'm going to put tape all the way around this window. Just going to lay this acetate down. And this is going to allow us to see what we put down right there. Now, I have already taken some beautiful DSP, and look at this. Look how pretty that looks. We are going to put this right back here, and that's what you'll be looking at. So, let's go ahead and get this laid down right in the center. Now, I'm going to bring in some paper so that we can see it better. We're just going to put some glue here. Right in the center. And now we're ready to go ahead and get this laid down. Now, the way you do that is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some glue here, just on that last tab part, and we're folding this over and holding it. See how it created our column for us perfectly? Okay, let's do that again. We're going to fold this in half because we have 4 score lines. Take the middle score line, fold it in half, add your glue to that tab, and now we're simply going to roll it over and hold it down. And there we have our columns. Look how easy that was to do. Perfect. Now all we need to do is get this laid down on our card. Now, let me give you some tips for this. You have to make sure when this card is closed that it doesn't go over the black base card, right? So you really have to get this first one laid down. So let's go ahead and just put some tape. Just use our tape runner. And I'm just going to eyeball it. And you need to go ahead and shut it and make sure it doesn't go over this black part. So we have this here. Now we need to go ahead and straighten it out. And we need to add a tape runner right here. You can add some more glue if you feel like you need it. And we're going to set it down, and then we're going to push it over just to make sure. Because if you don't push it over, you might get a bubble on this card, and you don't want that. So, lay one side down first, and then check your other side and make sure it's flat, so that it can go in an envelope. And look at this. Look at that beautiful inside. You can see the embossing that we did. So pretty. And now we need to decide, what are we going to do to decorate the front? Well, we have taken a wreath. We've cut it out. And let's just go ahead and pop this out. Now, if you have any extra pieces that need to pop out, just use your take your pick tool and just pop those right out. Okay. And now we're going to use our blends to color this some beautiful colors. And I want to show you how quickly you can do this. Grab the colors that you would like to work with. And I think we're going to work with Old Olive, light and dark, with some Daffodil Delight, some pumpkin pie. And let's just go ahead and start tipping our leaves. You don't have to think about it too much. Just go in there and start coloring your wreath. And I would use the brush nib to do that. And so I'm just going to go around, find some leaves, tip the leaves just a little bit. Because it is fall and we know that the leaves are changing colors, right? So we expect to see that in our wreath also. So very quickly, I'm just going over a few of the leaves with some pumpkin pie. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and bring in my Daffodil Delight and just go over it once again with the brush nib. And just very quickly go over some of the leaves. Now I'm going to bring in a light old olive. And look at our wreath. Look how pretty that looks. It looks like the leaves are actually changing colors, and I just very quickly went over with our blend, and I'm going to bring this in and set this up right over our opening, and look how pretty that looks. Now let's just get a little bit of glue and get that laid down. I'm just going to dab in some different places. Now there's lots of ways you can put your glue on the back of a wreath. You can get a sponge and you can put it on that way, but I already have this, and so I'm just going to dab some glue spots. I'm going to make sure I get this laid exactly the way I want it. Look at this. Look at how pretty that is. You can still see those beautiful leaves in the background right here on the inside. And now we're just going to put a sentiment and then put a card on the back and we'll be done. Now on my sentiment, I went ahead and I stamped Blessed Beyond Measure. And I want to show you this little tip that I have. When you need to cut this out and you don't want to cut a straight line, you want to cut around it, go ahead and lay your stamp right over it. And now we're just going to bring in a pencil and trace around it. And this gives us a really good idea of how we're supposed to cut this out to give it a really nice border around it. Now I went ahead and I cut that out using that technique, and look how pretty it is. You know, you're always trying to figure out where to do our little hills and valleys. When you cut around your sentiment, that's how you do it. So let's go ahead and bring this in, and let's just add this right here on some dimensionals and lay this down. I'm just going to put it right here. Now, let's finish the back so that you have a place to write. So you need to have a piece of cardstock that is 10 by 3 3/4, and we're going to score it at 5. So go ahead and bring in your trimmer, and let's score that at 5. Make sure we're not going to accidentally cut it. And go ahead and give that a good crease. And now we're going to cut a piece of paper for the back just so it matches the front. So now we're going to cut 3.5 by 4 3/4. So now we want our card to open up this way so that when you turn it, you open it up just like a card. So let's go ahead and lay this down on the back of our base card. Just like this. And now we're going to lay this down right here. Just so that we can have the same design on the front and the back. Now this is a great way to use your DSP. Makes such a beautiful card. And like I always say, this is a keepsake. This is a card that they will keep on their desk. Now let's look at that again. You can see the beautiful embossed cardstock on the inside. We have our beautiful sentiment. On the back, you have a card, and it actually helps it stand up. It actually tilts a little bit because it doesn't go all the way to the end. So that is so nice. And remember I said this one right here. Now this one's a little different because we put a saying right here, and then we put a frame around this just to give it some more interest. Went ahead and added our card on the back, picked up this beautiful DSP. And finally, look at this card. Look how beautiful this is. We added that DSP on the inside so that you would have something to look at. We added some flowers and some leaves. We added some embellishments here. And then when you open it up, we have our card and of course some DSP right here. So we want you to take a moment and leave a comment. Which is your favorite? Oh my goodness, this is such a fantastic card to make. Well, do you like this pop-up card? Take a moment, let us know below. Monty and I just love reading your comments. And if you were inspired just a little bit, we hope that you take a moment, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll go out, make it a fantastic week, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.